Hey, good morning.
How about those Bills, huh?
I'm
Okay,
fine.
let's move on. I did not realize. I forgot you were from Ithaca. We're both upstate. Just sadness.
Utica, yeah.
Or
Just
Utica.
Yep,
Utica.
upstaters.
sadness up and down the transit last night. I'm telling you what.
The snow belt.
Yes.
Can I just say, Brad, it feels our pain on Twitter. He tweeted, in just 1 year, the Biden administration has put over 250 million in American arms. Unemployment has dropped to 3.9%. Our economy is growing at its fastest rate in 40 years. We should all be celebrating the resilience of the American spirit and the Biden boom. But do we want to start with Meet the Press, Bill Maher, or do we want to
Oh,
just
God.
go right to the rest of the mainstream media? I mean, Eric, it is not in dispute that the ratings are bad, for Biden. But you're like, it's not a shock, right? The media for a year has been like, Biden bad,
Yeah.
Biden doom, Biden this, bad this. Oh, why are look at Biden's not doing well now. Like it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of the parts of the polls they take out are just infuriating, aren't they? Like, that Biden hasn't compromised enough. I'm like, oh my God. This is what happens from the media continually saying both sides do it and both sides are the same, right?
Yeah. For the press, it's this perfect self-fulfilling prophecy. You just hammer Biden, and then the polls come around, and you say, "Oh, look, Biden." You kind of act surprised and detached, and say, "Wow, there seems to be a change in Biden." But
I think Chuck Todd actually said to someone, "Well, I know there's been this Democrats in disarray sort of storyline." Yeah, where? Where have we been hearing that? Sorry, go ahead.
But also, they play games with the polling. Fox News poll yesterday was Biden 47%. He's up 3 points since November, and that's why you don't hear about that poll. But when he's at 42, it's Katie bar the door. And 4 years ago, when Trump was at 37, the press just kind of shrugged and said, "Oh, that's Trump being Trump." New York Times over the weekend, the full Sunday reviews section, special section, Biden struggles. I guarantee you, if you go back 4 years ago, there was not a special pull-out section for how Trump can save his presidency, even though he was doing far worse. And just a perfect example: Monday morning, New York Times front page, 3,500-word story, Biden's missteps on. And in the fifth paragraph, they say there's much that Biden and his team have gotten right. So that gets one sentence. And what his missteps get 3,500 words. And I swear to God, one of the missteps was quote unquote, tiptoeing unquote around organized Republican resistance. So insane Republican behavior gets chalked up as a Biden failure.
Yeah. I mean, right, exactly. It just everything gets chalked up as a Biden failure, and then we wonder why the ratings are where they are, and people think the country's going in the wrong direction, and blah blah blah. So your piece, thank God, this made me feel better because I'd forgotten. You did a piece that Biden's getting Doomsday press just like Obama did. Here we go again. You said it wouldn't be surprising if Biden felt a strong sense of deja vu as he marked his first year in office, as the press eagerly writes him off as a failure buried by a mountain of crises, while at the same time erasing his accomplishments, record job gains, ending the forever war. Reading from GOP talking points, journalists remain in hyperventilation mode, obsessively detailing Biden's soft polling numbers while loudly and falsely claiming he can't get his key legislative initiatives passed into law. Am I crazy? It's infrastructure relief or a BFD. Trump got nothing done. It was infrastructure week every week for 4 years. I mean,
It was a running joke.
You said the press misjudged one of the most successful and popular presidents of the last half century, meaning Obama. You said the polling shows 80% plus of Democratic voters approve of Biden's job performance, but every story is, his base is totally gone, right?
Right.
You said not in the first few paragraphs, with the fact that a record 6.4 million new jobs have been created since Biden took office, and now that the U.S. enjoys full employment with workers earning all-time high wages. One of the things I can't remember that. Oh, they were saying Chuck Todd, of course, was saying the most important things to people is jobs and the economy.
You think?
We're at a
Apparently not.
40-year. I mean, how do you, Eric? Honestly, explain this to me? How, in the polling specifically, people say jobs and economy and Biden's doing a bad job when statistically it is overwhelmingly untrue.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Last week was the 1 year anniversary. We saw a lot of these kind of thumb sucking pieces. Oh, Biden's really struggling. And the Washington Post did a big front page story, and they pegged it specifically on his polling. because if you have soft polling, you are a failed presidency, apparently. Yeah, again, 3,000 word story on his first year in office. There was not one sentence about the 6.4 million jobs added during his first year.
Yeah.
No first year president in the history of these tabulations has ever done that. And it didn't get one sentence because the Post wanted to write about Biden's polling numbers. I mean, that doesn't happen by accident. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
The reporters and editors didn't forget to put that in. It's a conscious decision because they are married to this narrative and they're married to the storyline. And oh, by the way, it all comes straight from the RNC.
Yeah, well, exactly. And you said Trump's historically unpopular standing just simply became the new norm as journalists instead marveled at his loyal base. He was in the 30s after his first year. And you say, and look at this Doomsday Year One pronouncement from the Post. A year into his presidency, President Obama faces a polarized nation and souring public assessments of his efforts to change Washington, according to a new poll. Chris Cillizza, always helpful, dubbed Ebola the October surprise. That was for that killed 2 people, as we recall. One headline was why Obamacare may be Obama's Katrina and Iraq. Obama left office, as you point out, with a 60% approval rating. Biden can be forgiven if he feels like he's seen this movie before.
You know, and I left out, I could have included Bill Clinton in that, the exact same thing. You know, he complained first year in office. He said, where's my honeymoon? I wrote this piece and you know, at PressRun, and Jonathan Alter left a comment. He just wrote a Jimmy Carter biography. He had his administration had the exact same concern. You know, first year, they cleaned house. They restored dignity in the White House. They got rid of, you know, the Nixon Ford era. And he got no honeymoon. So it's an absolute consistent with Democratic presidents. The press, no matter how big their landslide, I mean, my gosh, Obama's landslide, Biden got more votes than anyone in history. And within months, failed presidency, failed. You know, it's clearly a different standard in terms of how they're assessing these failed Democratic presidents. It's kind of nitpicking little minor stuff. And Bush and Trump were monumental failures that they didn't treat the same way.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, you also tweeted, New York Times Friday, Obama and Clinton were failed presidents. New York Times Sunday, Trump insurrectionists have formed a loving community. I mean, it's just, you know, and as we say every week almost, right, they will both sides us into autocracy. You just said if you're looking for a loving profile of January 6th insurrectionists, the New York Times has you covered. The New York Times, you said, will never stop running Trump voter stories. And then you said this 2 days after news of the White House plan to seize voting machines. I mean, am I crazy, Eric, that this should be a bigger story? That they were about to use the military to overthrow the United States? And this is just... Go ahead.
Yeah, Politico had that really interesting story in terms of, you know, that's one of the documents the January 6th Commission got. Network News, I checked Friday, none of them covered the story about the Trump plan to seize voting machines. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't qualify as news. But that New York Times insurrectionist story, the front page yesterday, you know, they put this insurrectionist in a tie, you know, in a blazer, you know, make them look really respectable. And it's all about, again, it's about the insurrection was this rebirth. It's created this loving community for these people. I was just, and the whole pointless, you know, angle that the Times tried to use was, well, these were the marchers. You know, these weren't the insurrectionists. They didn't go in the building. They were at the rally. They marched. They went home. They were revived. There's no difference between people who marched and people who got. Maybe they didn't get in the building because the crowd was too big.
Right.
Not one person in that article was quoted as saying, "Oh, that violence was wrong." They all supported it. They all see the people in custody as political prisoners.
Yeah.
The New York Times has lost its mind on this stuff. So they've gone from celebrating Trump voters to celebrating, you know, Trump thugs.